Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Aligning with Success call. It is October 30th. Can you believe it? So we are closing in on month end. This is a very, very important time. It's really exciting with this incentive in place because I find myself doing the things that I recall doing when I was moving toward Royal Diamond and rank, which was looking to help execute some strategies, some plans, and those last minute details, helping people figure out how they're going to get silver done. And with the double PV, I hope everybody on this call and those watching in the playback are on top of that and doing everything you can to take advantage of that, whether it's an advancement in rank to executive, whether it's an advancement to, well, actually it could be any rank because it's double PV. So you could be going gold this month as a result of that. Certainly for those of us who are pushing for the Team Kaizen and the Japan trip, this is a great incentive. And just for those who are looking to qualify, I mean, it's you could do that with that as well. So all the reason in the world to really hunker down. So I thought maybe before we do a little bit of hindsight, I'd just sort of pick up on that speed, which is some of the things that you guys are doing to leverage this month end, since we only have, a little over 24 hours to take advantage of this. So anybody would like to share some of the things that they're doing or things that have already happened to leverage this month end? I know it's pretty straightforward. Any order that you place with the Halloween box counts for double PB. But if you're doing this right, there should be a few people moving up in ranks as a result of, some well-planned ideas. So anybody here got a few things on the go or had something happen just in the last week with respect to this double PV? I think Michelle, she just joined. I think she just broke a silver as a result of that. Anyone? Connie, you just had an executive.
Right.
What happened there?
Well, I decided to take advantage of the Halloween boxes, and with that, I had someone that wanted to join, and so with a little of this and a little of that, and I started my Christmas shopping early. 4 grandchildren, 4 cocoons, it all adds up. So, so she went executive. And
fantastic. Good.
So hopefully she'll get some other people in.
Great point, by the way. It's not only Halloween we should be thinking about, but Christmas. I mean, the Christmas signs are already out there on the streets. So people want your money, and there's no better gift than the gift of health. So maybe you do your Christmas shopping a little bit early this year and leverage this double PV. Anyone else? Michelle, you just broke a silver. Was that also with a double PV?
Yes, it was. It absolutely was. And exactly like what Connie said, we were looking at Christmas shopping and doubling up. So water systems and cocoons were what was the bigger items that were sold. The pack, a lot of people are afraid of the pack because there's so many bars, but we're going to use it for promotion. This girl, she works at a healthcare center, a wellness center. So she is going to put the bars out as a promotional material, and she's actually going to sell them for $1 or $2. And that way people are going to, there's more benefit than giving them away.
Yeah, good point. Great point. Excellent. Yes, someone else raise their hand. Carol, you're up there.
So I really experience of the law of attraction, and this one that I hadn't seen in a long time, Kuni friend, called out spiritual name, and there she was in fish. And they had me for breakfast, and Suzanne Beals helped today. She became a consultant. And
Carol, can you do us a favor and law of attract yourself a higher quality internet connection?
Sorry. Okay, I'll work on that.
Just an FYI, by the way, if you have really signal bandwidth issues, if you just shut down your video feed, that'll streamline the audio sound so there's less interference.
We'll see if it works. Is it better?
Not so much.
No. Oh, come back to me. I'll come.
Okay.
Home.
Fair enough. Let's add one more. Anybody else want to add?
I have one silver too, Mike. And
congratulations. All right.
Yeah, thank you. The executive that came to San Antonio made the decision in San Antonio. She has 2 people under her, and the one's ready to run with her. She had a retail sale that wanted to wait for free shipping. And so she took the retail profit that she would have had and offered to pay for her free shipping. And she and her new person are splitting up the pack, and they're going to do the same thing with the bars, using them for promotion, mailing out the thank yous with the cards, waterfall cards and so forth, to garner up and to help her new person run with her and get some activity going. So this is a woman who's attended goal training, 4 trips to San Antonio, 4 or 5 to Orlando, and the decision was made at that Lockett event.
Okay, let's stop right there because I've written this down already. One of the key things that are going to drive your business, whether it's because of a promotion or it's whatever you want to do or accomplish, it's because a decision's made. Nothing happens until a decision's made. There's no accidents. If any of you are following the law of attraction, you know that the law of attraction is like everything. It's a law, and it's got a cause, it's got an effect. Most people observe the effect. They don't understand the cause, and so they think things happen to them. But they don't understand that things don't happen to us, they happen through us. So the effect of a person rank advancing, the effect of a person taking advantage of an incentive is because somebody made a decision at some point, whatever it took. So you may have not yet had a decision, or somebody in your organization may have not yet made a decision about, especially about this double PV. We have a whole 24 hours plus to get that done. And remember, if you've looked at some of the examples that were circulated, one retail order alone can get the volume that you need in place for someone to go silver. Just one order. And of course, one of the things that I'm doing and I'm encouraging others to do is to assemble some orders. It just has to go in officially on one order, but there's people out there that are buying this or buying that, little pieces, and you can put them all together as one collated order. One of the things that you guys have been mentioning, and I want to reiterate as well, is incentives. There's the Nikan incentive, but what incentives are you offering for people to make a decision? People, especially at the retail level, make decisions because there's a sale or because there's a free shipping. There's a reason to buy now. Are you creating the reason to buy now scenario? And so what would that look like? And consider this. Figure out what the profit might be on a particular sale and ask yourself, is it worth giving up some of that profit to create an incentive that would garner that sale, that otherwise that sale wouldn't take place? And by the way, that could also mean somebody getting involved in the business. Somebody joining the business might be joining the business because of some promise that you made. For instance, a lot of times I offer to come into the city to help somebody launch if they make a committed decision. So these are things that we should be in the habit of doing, if we're not, of creating incentives, especially as we head into the month end. We refer to this as the month end stretch, where a lot of things can happen in a short period of time if you've sown the seeds. And then it's just a matter of saying, hey, let me help you make this decision easy. What if? And then you drop the what if scenario and see what happens. One of the things that I like doing is the tic-tac-toe kind of thing. You might have somebody 1 or 2 or 3 generations down who's nothing more than a person who's been introduced to Nikken, just a prospect, but with the right incentive would be willing to take some measurable action. And that action would cause another situation to emerge. The next person might be close to a rank advancement. And maybe because they're that close, they might be willing to do something like throw in an incentive to make that first order happen. And so that tick-tack, and then there could be another person above who benefits from those two things who would be willing to also contribute to that happening. So maybe somebody gets a free pillow because they bought a sleep system, or whatever that incentive might look like, that because there's enough people who benefit from that sale, they contribute something to make that thing actually happen, and it's tic-tac-toe, combination of events. Let me just go ahead and mute that out there. So these month-end stretch concepts are really, really important. There's two ways of leveraging the month, the volume, or the order. One is the volume, and one is the product. Now, volume, of course, is for rank advancement, but the product is an incentive for maybe the customer. So can you use both to create double the leverage? You offer one person the volume, you offer another person the product. And you can create twice the leverage with that one item. Something to think about. Okay, that's one of the things I want to talk about real quick. The other thing was, on the heels of the event, I was not available last week, and Bernadette did a great job of getting some feedback about the event in San Antonio. Those of you who were there all gained some insights, gained some altitude. And I just wanted to ask if there was anything in the course of this week, just this week alone, that's different as a result of the experience that you had, or whatever you gained from the experience in San Antonio, wherever it came from. Is there something that happened this week specifically that you attribute to whatever switch went off in you? Anyone? Yes, Lori?
I made a decision.
Okay.
And there's, I can't describe how I feel, except that there's like this burning, I don't have a description for it. It's just, it's something different. It's this passion that I didn't have before. It's passion with action instead of just the passion. And, you know, I had a realization about my why that I didn't have before. It's more than helping people. It's a focus on my husband who needs health. And it's also every person on the planet, they don't know that they need Nikken, but they do. And every person can benefit from Nikken. And if we don't share it with every person, there might not be someone to share it. I have yet to meet someone that knows about Nikken. And I'm right outside the city, but I'm all over in South Carolina. I have yet to meet someone. I met one person back in January, one person. And so if I don't share it, who's going to share it? So, you know, it's changed me. And I've taken action this weekend, this whole week, actually, after coming back. And it just feels different. And though the bottom line isn't there yet, you know, I don't see anything yet, there's still 24 hours, and more than that. And I know it's all going to come together. And I just am going to.
Oh, you just muted yourself, but I just want to remind you, it's already come together. Everything that is. Everything that ever will be already is. It's just a question of tuning the dial. What station are you listening to? So tune that dial. It is done. Thank you for that, Lori. You know, I was on a phone call earlier with another fellow, and he was asking me some questions about contacting and inviting. He's had some people say, well, yeah, can you send me a video? And the fact that they were asking him to send a video already indicated to me that he didn't do the contact and invite quite the way it's supposed to be done, because that's not exactly what we offer. I said, does this person live in town or out of town? In town, okay. So then what would be the best case scenario if they lived in town? That you'd be sending them a video or that you'd be meeting with them? The answer was that you'd be meeting with them. And so I want to just re-emphasize something, and that is that contact and invite approach is very specific. The words are very specific. So I would encourage you to listen to the March 27 audio playback and pick out those words that you cannot not use. In other words, what are the lines that must be in your contact and invite? And I'll give an example. This may or may not be for you. That's one of those lines that has to be in there. So I would suggest you create that script in writing and you highlight those lines that just have to be in there. Like, I'm asking for your help. If you can't help me directly, help me indirectly. Why is it so important to ask for help? Because regardless of the end of the process, they may say it's not for me. Well, that doesn't mean the process is over. That just means they've disqualified themselves as a potential partner. But could they be a customer? Do they drink water, or is that not important? Do they sleep, or is that not important? Do you know what I mean? And then furthermore, what is it that we asked for in the first place? Their help, if not directly, indirectly. So we can always go back to, okay, maybe the business is not for you. We already, I said that at the beginning. However, you know people I don't know. You know people who could benefit both from these probably in your own immediate family. In fact, if you had to think of one person in your own immediate family, who would that be that would benefit from better sleep or proper hydration? You see, every name on our contact list should be replenished by another name if we asked at the very beginning for their help directly or indirectly, because we can always come back to, okay, you know people I don't know. And I'm sure in that, and by the way, don't ask a generality. Don't say, maybe you can lead me to some people. That's a generality. They'll say, yeah, sure. And then you won't get a name. Yeah, if I think of somebody, I'll let you know. And you won't get a name. It's a generality. So every name on the list ought to be replenished with another name. If that were the case, let's just think about this for a second. Here's your $1 million list. If every one of those names was replenished by a qualified lead, there's a saying in the business, every dud knows a stud. So let's say one of those people on your list, if they were asked the right question, what question, by the way, if they were asked the right question, would lead you to somebody who was maybe more qualified than they were. Do you know the person who introduced Mike DiMuccio to Nikken is not a Nikken? So you never know who somebody's going to lead you to. And that comes with asking the right question and at the very beginning of the contact invite, setting up the condition by asking for their help. It's so critical because in that way, you don't lose anything and they don't lose anything. No one feels like they're losing. There's always a win-win. And that's important. And of course, the fallback is they could always benefit from the product. Fine. The business may not be for you, it's not for everyone. Or maybe at this time you're too busy, whatever. That's fine. So let's go to where there's something in common here. The interest in better health. Could you use a better sleep? Could you use more energy? Could you, the comment that was made earlier, I don't think there's a single human being alive that cannot benefit from the Nikken products. But more importantly, I don't think there's a human being alive in an industrialized world or city that is not being compromised by our electrical smog. So how you will benefit from the Nikken technology regardless, because you cannot not. And no one is immune to this stuff that's bombarding us left, right, and center. So we have a reason to be on point where that's concerned. But the question that came up was, he asked me to send a video. I said, well, what video would you send that's going to do the job? Now, I want you guys to really think about this. You've got a name on your list that you've taken the time to identify as one of your key players for the business. You want to partner with these people. They haven't yet given you an appointment. You may have not even established their motivation for why they're going to even look at this. Why would you send a video if there's no why established? All you're doing is saying, oh, sure, I'll send you a video, and you think you're actually sending them something that they're going to be interested in. I can tell you what you're doing. You're providing them with the reason, the answer, which is no. I looked at it, I'm not interested, thanks. Do you believe that there is a video in all of the world, in all of Nikken, that will do the job of selling somebody in one video? Not a chance. And so when we send a video without first establishing the protocol, the why they would even look into a business possibility with you, and we haven't established an agreement that they would go through the information process, which may only begin with the video, if we haven't done that, all we're doing is giving them an excuse to come back and say, yeah, I saw the video, wasn't really interested. That would have been a complete waste. And then you walk away without replenishing that list. So it's really important that we pay attention to the details. Pay attention to what you're saying, pay attention to what they're saying, and don't set yourself up for that lame answer, yeah, no, I'm not really interested. Who is not interested in health? Who is not interested in money? So it's just the way it's being approached. They're busy. They're trying to get something from you so they can say no without having to do the hard work, which is the due diligence, and maybe even having to change their life by making a decision. People tend to want to avoid that, especially when they're busy, because they think they're on the track that they want to be, or maybe the thing that they're on is just keeping them so busy they can't look left, they can't look right. So how do we get their attention? How do we get them to the table where they're willing to stop and really evaluate this in the way that's deserving of this and deserving for them? And the answer is details, intimacy. If I can speak to them one-on-one, that's my preference. If they happen to live across to another state or province, well, now I may have to do something else, but not until we've established why. And that's all in that script. And that script, by the way, ends with the offer. What is it that you're asking them to do? What's the offer? It's to evaluate this in the hopes that they might become a partner, and if not, help you directly, help you indirectly. But all you're asking them to do is to evaluate it by going through a process of information, which includes X, Y, and Z, which begins with, let's sit down and talk. Now, or it might be, let me invite you to a call, a Zoom call. I'd like to introduce you to the people I'm collaborating with. My partners who are have a little bit more tenure or a little bit more experience. I want to make sure, number one, you get the best information possible, and number two, you meet the people you'd be working with if you decided to get involved with us. It's just part of the process. It's not because I want to sell you. It's not because I want them to convince you. It's simply protocol. It's if you were going to get involved in a business, would you not want to know who you're getting involved with? So it's part of the protocol. And make it feel that way. Say those words. Now, the other thing that I wanted to touch on was this notion of a pre-IPO, the concept of a pre-IPO. Who knows what a pre-IPO is? Anita is. By the way, those of you who see that name there, wave your hand there, Anita. That's Anita in Montreal. That's who I'm going to be visiting on the 28th again. So a pre-IPO, initial public offering. A pre-IPO means somebody has some insider information and they're sharing it usually with friends and family because it's an opportunity for people to get in on the action before the stock goes public. And so there's usually a pre-IPO offering for investor groups, people who have some skin in the game at turning this business and growing this business. So the idea of a pre-IPO means there's a point in time where it goes public. Before that is the opportunity. And every time we launch somebody, you're in a pre-IPO environment, because let's play this out for a second. They launch. They become a major influence in the area. They grow their business to Royal Diamond. They're hosting events, public events, where people are learning about Nikan. And so it went from being obscure to being very public in some time frame. So when it was obscure, it was in pre-IPO, and then it went public and then grew from there. So when we're launching somebody, they're in pre-IPO. That's why they're looking for their friends and family. They're looking for the key people who will collaborate and participate in this ground floor possibility. Because if a business rolls to Royal Diamond, what do they take with it? A bunch of success stories, right? So who wants to be part of a Royal Diamond run? Who wants to be part of in the compensation plan where we had where we were running 6 legs instead of 3? That'd be 14%. So 14%. I remember one of the guys used to say, "Who'd like to be 14% of my income? Who'd like to earn 14% of what I'm going to earn?" Because in their mind, they were going to make a fortune. And so anybody would be lucky to have 14% of whatever they made, because essentially what they were saying is, if you're one of those 6 legs, you're going to make 14% of what I make, because I'm going to make 14% times 6. So it's just a mindset. It's the idea that you're going to build something with someone. They're getting in the business to grow a business. And if you remember at the event in San Antonio, I turned the compensation plan on its side. Nobody's going up. We're all going this way. We're going from direct to executive to silver to gold to these are just stages of our business evolution as we're growing an organization. Different way of looking at it, but a really important way of looking at it, because then you're not thinking about climbing a ladder. Like you're having to go up. You're going against the grain. You're going against gravity. You're going against, you know what I mean? Where there's limited room at the top. That's just all the stuff that's going into our mind when we associate it with that. But when we go this way, that means everybody in our organization is doing the same thing. They're going this way. They're not having to climb up, just going sideways. We're going to help them grow that business. So just these little nuggets, these little ideas can help you understand that when you're launching somebody, you're launching them with the goal of helping them build a Royal Diamond business. So somebody that is getting involved with them is going to win. Who are those somebodies? That's that pre-IPO. That's that I'm building this thing to the moon and back, and whoever joins with me is coming for the ride, are part of the whole experience. So I want to know who wants to play. I'm going to take the next 3 weeks to figure that out. You guys are all, you 30 are the first people who are getting a crack at this. And I'm not going to beg you. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for people who have vision, who have more to accomplish, who want to make a difference, who want to make an impact. We found a vehicle. We found a technology. We found a protocol. We found an organization. We got all the pieces. We just need to know who wants to play, who wants to go for it. And so that's what that 3 week or 2 week or 1 month activity that is initiated by our $1 Million List is all about. It's all about finding, not creating. Finding the people who want to join us before we get so big that we won't have any time for them. Before we get so busy that we won't have any time for them. Before we go public. That's the concept. Any questions about that? John, you were my little guinea pig on the stage in San Antonio. I appreciate your help there. It was a very important point, I think, that we were trying to emphasize with you, and that is, question was, what do I see as the future of Nikan? And I wanted them to see what I see as the future. It's young people like yourself, John, who are leading in the next wave. You're the ones who are going to take over where we left off. And hopefully, if we do our jobs right, you're going to go a lot faster and a lot further than we ever did. Otherwise, we fail in our job to mentor and coach you. It's our goal to help you go. Think about it. If you had a child in life, you have any kids yet, John?
None for me, thanks.
None for you. What is it with this generation? Okay, well, let's just assume you had a kid. You would want the best in life for your kid. You would obviously want them to have a happier, healthier, wealthier life than you. I mean, that's just only natural. Well, when we give birth to Nikam, we want the same thing. And when we're giving birth to the next generation, we want to see this become bigger and better than anything we've done ourselves, because then that is a real testament to the legacy that we leave. Right? So I want you guys to think about that when you're sponsoring someone. You're able to do it better than ever before, because now you have some history. You got some.
If I could, you asked before, what have we done differently? I have 5 new prospects, and that is exactly what I used. You know, that at my age, I'm really looking to attract with this team of 4, 6, however many there are, of the next generation, and take what I've learned in the last 19 years and the last 52 years. And are you willing to look at this? And that has truly become my line, particularly with the age group that I've contacted. And it's been a very interesting response. So thank you. And also thank you for the IPO. It's more clear tonight than when you mentioned it the other day on the call with the example. Thank you.
Cool. Pre-IPO. So think about that, because right now there's a lot of sponsoring happening, and I want to make sure you guys feel comfortable and confident in what you do with these newbies. These new people are the future, and you want to give them the best start you know how to give, given the history that you've gone through. And by the way, it doesn't matter how long it took you to go silver, how long it took you to go gold, how long it took you to go platinum or diamond. That's not a reflection of them. So don't put on them, don't overlap on them the idea that it has to take long. That's just a paradigm. In fact, I expect the new people that I enroll to do it faster than me, because they have the benefit of me. I can show them how to shortcut, take a few shortcuts. For instance, one of the things that I learned, very important thing, that's why I turned the thing on its side. You start from the top and you work your way down. Most people, they see that compensation plan and you go this way and you think, I start down here and I work my way up. No, that's a paradigm. That's the wrong way to think. You're not working your way up. You're not by yourself. You're building a team. You're working your way down. You're starting with your diamonds and then your platinums and then your golds and then your silvers. That's what you're doing. That's a different way of thinking. So now, that saves a lot of time. Why? Because if you think you're working your way up, you're thinking, oh, okay, so I got to go from direct to executive. Okay, then you get to executive and they say, okay, let me reorient and let's go from executive to silver, and then you go to silver. And then you say, okay, now the next thing is gold. So let me go from silver to gold. Well, each time you're doing that, you're creating the circumstance to move that little bit. But had you started with the intention that you are already a royal diamond, looking for your diamonds, looking for your platinums, looking for your golds, looking for your silvers, you would be starting with the end in mind. You would be attracting the end in mind rather than the increments, the increments, the increments. That's the long way to Tipperary. So we begin with the end in mind. I'm looking for my team. I'm looking for those people who I'm going to be flying to Panama City with and hanging out by the way, I'm doing that for the event with Latin America. We're going to go in the jungle. We're going to do a jungle thing. We're going to be full of mud. They said, bring one set of clothes that you don't expect to ever wear again. So that's going to be different for Mike DiMuccio, I'm sure. I don't even own those kind of clothes. I have to go buy them. So that's not the point. The point is, think about it. Who are you going to be hanging out with, having fun with, building a life with? When you go to these events, who do you go to dinner with? These are the people that is your family. That's your Nikan family. So you want to create an environment and a team that you can see a future with. You can see yourself on the beaches of the world and in all the wonderful things that we get to do when we're building a Nikken business. So imagine who's that. When you look at this list, who should be on it? And when you look at it, who's on it, how should you contact them? Let me send you a video. As soon as you're done, sign up. I mean, seriously, I think it's probably okay to send a video out and in the cold market environment and hope for something. You know, usually direct flyer campaigns, they tell you 1%. That's 1 in 100. Can you imagine if only 1 in 100 people from this list did anything? How many of you would be anxious to go get another list? How many of you would be anxious to sponsor somebody and tell them to make a list if only 1 in 100 did anything? So I would rather approach this with a little bit more professionalism, a little bit more details, a little bit more focus, and recognize that these people are people who you're going to be spending a lot of time with if they join you in the business. So treat them that way, right up front, as if there's somebody that's very important to your company, because you don't know which one of these people is going to be very important to your company or may lead you to somebody who's very important to your company. So if I trusted a video was going to do the job, I'd have been sending a ton of videos out. Now, that's not to say a video is not a nice compliment. I think it's nice to have some videos to complement the message, but let's understand what we're asking people to do. We're not asking them to watch a video and make a decision. We're asking them to engage in a process, which may include a video, a call, and some of the other things that it includes. It's not based on you watch a video and you make a decision. No. That's prospecting, not contacting and inviting. If they're on your list, you're contacting and inviting. If they're not on your list, they're prospect. Then, hey, it's up to you how you want to approach that. If you think a video can help you narrow down the list of prospects, that's fine. But I find that personal engagement is always going to win. And professionalism is always going to win. And people want to be treated with respect. Otherwise, why would they want to join you? If the very first thing is the lack of respect, the lack of commitment, the lack of time. You know, another thing that came up in this conversation was, why would you send a video if they live in your town? Can you do a demonstration over video? How important is the demonstration in the process of creating interest? Huge. So I would rather tell the person, look, it'd be like trying to give you a haircut over the phone. I can't do that. We need to get together. So let's just go ahead and book that time. And then it's magic, isn't it? How many of you had a one-on-one and did some demos and it's like the whole situation changes? You know you wouldn't have gotten that far with somebody if it wasn't for that demo, if it wasn't for that personal interaction. Well, let's not waste this list. Let's teach people how to really make the most of that list, and then they won't have to be worrying about not having enough names. People will be more than happy to give them names because they were treated from the beginning with professionalism and respect. And then you got a rotating list. You know, these 100 names, 100 people you don't know, that's 10,000 people. You think you really need to go to the cold market? So, any questions or thoughts about this? Whoa. Is silence golden in this case? I don't know. What do you think, guys? Any feedback?
Just go talk to people.
Talk to people. That's Peter.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Peter.
Talk with people.
Talk with people. Like that better. Talk with people.
One of the strategies that I'm using is just talking to everybody in my inner circle and finding out what they want, and whatever they want, I'm positioning Nikken around it. I'm not pushing, I'm not pressuring. I'm just having real conversations about what it can do for them, their lives, their families. And I'm coming from a place of my heart, coming from the cause of energy and wellness. And in life, I'm a business coach, so I'm strategizing and promoting that as well. I'm offering myself, so it's coming together. And you know what? It's going to take the time it takes, Mike. I'm here for life. That I know.
Fantastic. Well, that's pretty. Thank you, Madeline. You were just getting to the point.
That was what got my attention. I have to tell you, it was in 1996 that I was not sent just one VHS, but a whole bag of audio cassettes, a lot of telephone calls. Well, not a lot, but over a 2-year period. I met my sponsor over lunch to return them. Ended up taking them back with me after I saw her, and she did a demo, and she opened up the Creating Balance that had this on it. And that's why I'm here today, and she isn't here today either. She's like your sponsor. She's not here. So this has made a real difference when I pull it out of my purse after some of the conversation and in a couple of the others. It depended on where I was or who the person was first, or had it out to just ask the question as a visual, because it works so well with me. And it really does work well with people, because the visual is so important about a life in balance in those 5 pillars of health. People start talking about that.
Fantastic. Well, you can arm somebody with ammo to tell you why they're not interested, like a short video that's supposed to do it all, or you can arm them with why they want to know about this. And so it's one of 2 things. And I know, don't send somebody anything unless you have established the why they would want to look at it in the first place, because they're not going to look at it. And if they are, they're going to look at it with a set of eyes with the goal of one thing, to say they watched it so they can tell you they watched it and dismiss it. So we want somebody vested in the information process. How do you get somebody really vested in the information process? You got to show them why this could be their ticket to whatever it is that they're after. If you can establish that, then they'll be vested in the information process. One of the reasons why the product demo is so profound is because if you use the product demo to get them vested in the information process rather than sell them because they're a business prospect, then they're going to be vested in the information. They're going to want to understand how this fits. So creating that why is the most important thing you can do. And first and foremost, it starts with that call and how you approach that call so that you can get engagement in that why. That's the key. I just want an appointment. I want an appointment because I established the grounds for why an appointment would be good. They know nothing about Nikan. They shouldn't. It's not about that. It's about whether there's a why for them to meet with us. And if I feel there is, and then I give them enough reason to believe that there is for them, then they'll meet with me. When they meet with me, they're going to learn what it is that I'm excited about. They're going to see, and they're going to be able to assess at that point with me right there, being able to address questions as to whether or not this is a fit for them and in what way. So that appointment, that incredible appointment, even though we live in a day and age where time is so precious, again, what is time worth? What's this list worth? If you minimize the list, you'll run out of names, and then you won't have anything to do. So teach people how to maximize the list, not minimize it. How to maximize their time rather than minimize it. I want people to feel like this from the second I call them, they're very important to me. And that one way or the other, they can help. Whether it's direct or indirect, it remains to be seen. And that way,
Mike.
Yes.
Yeah, can I add something?
Please.
Yeah, leveraging on what Anita said as far as strategy, it's also about positioning. So I'll give you an example. When you position yourself so that your perceived consciously or, well, consciously for sure, but without deliberately realizing it, you position yourself as someone that's in business, that knows what they're doing, and you go about your business strategically. So you're setting up communications, contacts, relations. And I'm saying that because I'm going to give you an example where I hold my networking events. I run 2 networking events. One of them is a coaching event. The other is a networking event in a Panera Bread. So one of the managers I've been getting to know, so he connected with me on LinkedIn after a particular conversation. So I dug in and looked at his background, and I sent him a message, said, you've got some pretty interesting background there. I've got something you may want to look at that can put it to better use. So he messaged back and said, let's meet. And we met today, and I said, so at the end of the presentation, I said, so where are you with all of this, Don? He said, 8 out of 10. I said, okay, well, let's talk about the next steps and so on and so forth. So he's in the education phase right now, but in line with what Anita had said, it's a strategy, it's a position. You've got to have a mental strategy, mental game. You've got not just the strategy that you talk about, Mike, where you've got your list and everything else. You've got to strategically position yourself so that you're perceived in a certain way, and then when you tip someone's mindset with a little conversation like that, you've got their attention because you've positioned yourself already by your presence and by how you handle yourself. And you've already got the credibility. One of my favorite statements is you need to have visibility, credibility, and that leads to profitability. So something else to add for your
Thank you, Peter. What just came up, that's Peter in Atlanta, he's a diamond. What just came up for me was if somebody's brand new and they may be a little bit gun shy about positioning because, well, maybe they're experts in real estate or whatever else, but not Nikan, so they may feel a little bit timid about positioning. Here's what you need to tell them. You and me are partners. And I have a whole cast of people that we can draw on when needed, who are diamonds and royal diamonds, who are well positioned, very credible, and more than happy to help. So you're not alone in this. You may be the new kid on the block, but you represent a powerhouse of people. Don't forget that when you go into that conversation. You are the leading edge of the wedge. Just remember what's behind you. That'll help them, that notion of the ABC, that'll help them understand that even though you're new at this, even though that you're maybe well established in something else, you have partners here who are well established here, and they're your partners, and they'll come and play the game with you and for you when needed. So you're not alone. You're not walking into a situation cold. You've got that resource, and that's important because think about it this way. Simple example. Let's say you started a software company. Probably the first thing I would do if I start a software company is I'd send Bill Gates 20% of the shares for nothing. Only one reason I'd do that. I want to walk into a bank and say, well, one of our big shareholders is Bill Gates. What do you think the bank manager is going to think? Probably a company I want to be involved with, right? So when you have leverage like that, influence like that, it gives you confidence and it helps. So by the way, this feeds into the idea, how important is it for you to introduce your new team member to that team of A's? If you want them to go into that situation with confidence and know that they really are supported, make those introductions. What is the value of that? Huge, huge. If in fact it does influence their ability to go into a situation like that person with Bill Gates on their board of directors, so keep that in mind. introduce those new contacts. Make that part of your game plan, part of your startup procedure is we need to introduce you to your team. Not the one that you're going to create, but the one that you already have, that you're already a part of. That's huge. That's really huge. So that's part of the integration into the business. That's part of the assimilation. That's part of them gaining intel and confidence so that when they do make those calls, they go in there knowing they're not going in there alone. Really important. Thanks for bringing that up, Peter. Okay, guys, well, I'm showing 9:50, so we're well into this call. I'm going to wrap it up. And thank you for all your input, your participation. I'm going to be traveling to Panama City next week, but I will see if there's someone who can fill in for me on the next Monday call. So this call will go ahead as scheduled, and you'll have some insights from somewhere else. So thanks for joining us. Have an amazing month, and guys, use that double PV like it's going out of style. Let's make Kurt really pay for this one, all right? Let's do it. All right, have a great month then, guys.
Thanks, Mike. Safe travels.
Thank you.